At this time, I'd like to call the Wednesday, December 17th, 2014 council meeting to order. It's approximately 6 p.m. This evening, the invocation will be by Elder Chauncey Brown, pastor of William Chapel, Free Will Baptist Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance with our police explorers. Would you please stand?
Let's bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we thank you for our civil government. We thank you for the power that you've invested in our mayor and these our city council members. We understand, God, that it's a tremendous task, a tremendous responsibility and sacrifice for them. Even as your son Jesus had all power, but decided to give up all of that power that he might come. And the scripture says, greater love than this have no man, than that he will lay down his life for a friend. We ask now that you would give the strength and the knowledge to these, your civil government leaders, the compassion, the commitment, and the courage to make decisions that will better serve your people. Pray, God, now that they will remember that their acts of service to your community and that they're accountable to you for every decision they make. We pray, God, now that you would give them the strength, the courage, and the love to continue to do the things that you've called them to do. We ask now also that you would also remind them to make time for their family and for their friends, and to make time to be with you. All this we ask in your marvelous name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Thank you, Pastor Brown, for the invocation, and to the police explorers, thank you. A roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Fairclough.
Here.
Councilwoman Wallman.
Here.
Councilman Burgess.
Here.
Vice Mayor Shelley.
Here.
Mayor Porter.
Here. At this time, we'll open up the public comments, and would ask that people try to refrain from going much past 3 minutes. But if you like any public comments at this time, please step to the microphone.
Kevin Sullivan, 1860 Southeast 6th Court. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to thank you. I am absolutely shocked and pleased how quick you responded to my thoughts about making it a little bit safer for the kids to walk along Kingman Road. And to the Director Maytan to get his crew out there so fast. I know the job isn't finished, but I would really appreciate how quick you got on that. On to number 2. I see the Planning and Zoning Board is there, and a long-standing contention with me is I see there's 3 out-of-town people being appointed. I don't know any of them that are on the board, but I've said this before and I'll say it again. I think the City of Homestead has enough skilled, knowledgeable, and trustworthy people so that everybody that's making our decisions for us live within the city limits. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Harriet Devine at 545 Southwest 1st Street, Florida City, Florida. I'm here to speak on behalf of the Homestead Center for the Arts regarding the Seminole Theater. Although I'm a resident of Florida City, my connection to the Seminole Theater goes back perhaps 17 years, when my granddaughter and I, along with a group of volunteers, helped clean debris from the building. I joined the Center for the Arts about 5 years ago through the Lamplighters Writers Group, which is an affiliate member of the center. And I am now chairman of the Center for the Arts Grant Committee. The Center for the Arts has been in existence in Homestead since 1976. The Homestead Center for the Arts is comprised of approximately 100 individual and affiliate members. The affiliates range from the Mexican American Council to Paragon Ladies of the Dove to South Dade Dance Expressions, which provides the wonderful dancers that entertain us every year at the Christmas event in Losner Park. Our newest affiliate is Theater South Atlanta, which will be producing I Have a Dream under the direction of Herman Laverne Jones next month. We hope that you will consider these affiliates' dreams of a place to share their talented members' productions with the community. The Children's Gallery would love a local venue to mount shows, as would the South Florida National Parks Camera Club, both affiliates. The Center for the Arts can bring you live theater, as we did this past summer with What If Works production of the play One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Can you see the joy in the faces of children as they see the Nutcracker played out on a real stage? The vision we hold for a completed theater is one of a cultural center for the community, a magnet that draws the local and extended community of South Dade to a revitalized downtown district. The Homestead Center for the Arts would like very much to be an integral part of your vision for the Seminole Theater. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Melody Tyler. I'm president of the Homestead Community Concerts Association, and I have been a member of the Center for the Arts for 8 years since moving to Homestead. I wrote a letter to the editor during the election process and expressed my opinion that I believe a functioning Seminole theater is a quality of life issue for our community. The marketing research that we've done for community concerts indicates that we have a multicultural, multi-generational demographic in Homestead. The Seminole Theater will produce a wonderful opportunity to present a variety of arts and entertainment opportunities. Imagine music concerts, dance performance, film festivals, lecture series, children's programming, and presentations from both Miami-Dade College and FIU drama departments. Community Concerts is already contracting for our 2015-2016 season, and I urge you to begin thinking and planning now for next year's Seminole Theater opening. The HCA members and organizations are eager to help. Picture the grand opening. Spotlights, excited people, and a new world of entertainment opening for the citizens of Homestead. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor?
Ms. Faircloth, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Ms. Tyler? I just have a quick question for you. As you plan your programming for your next cycle, I believe the 2015-2016 year, would you consider hosting some of the productions during the day so that we can have several schools to attend on a field trip basis? Because I believe now they're in the evenings. Is that something you and the board would consider?
All of the concerts except for one this season are on a Sunday afternoon. There's only one evening performance. We cannot present anything during the week, but all of the concerts scheduled for this season, except as I said for the one, are all on Sunday afternoons. So that would be a better deal for the kids if they wanted to bring a group.
I was just thinking of having several schools on those yellow school buses going to productions there.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
We'll see how we can work it out to get them there on a Sunday evening, which will be harder, but we'll see what we can do.
Okay,
Thank
thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Ms. Fairclough. Yes, sir.
Hello, my name is George Ariano. I'm at 12307 Southwest 224th Street. I've been down here in Homestead for like 10 years, and I just see this, and was in the dog rescue business, and I got out because I believe that education and changing our antiquated, obsolete laws that belong to another economic world and another century need to be changed. Just like a lot of the two-legged laws, the laws for the four-legged animals need to be changed. And, you know, I think it's really unfair that we have the majority, the preponderance of the problem is being dumped here in Homestead. As we all know, we live here, and most of us are animal lovers, and it's a crying shame, and I'm sick of hearing the talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. So I'm kind of here to bark, and I'm the dog barker. Now I've got your attention. Let's do something. We need a rescue for rescuers. There are dozens and dozens of people out there on Section 8 with 5, 10, and 20 dogs. And there's a lot of very capable, loving people that can handle 10 and 20 dogs. We don't need to go and have 200 and 300 dog shelter facilities that require all these licenses. Let's be a leader in Miami because we have the biggest problem, and let's call animal services. Let's get some of that new money that's being dedicated to animal services and get a shelter for ourselves, for the animals down here. Because there's no representation. 95% of the dogs picked up come from Florida City and Homestead. And there's just not enough being done. And if we don't do it now, what are we waiting for? Animal Services just got $5 million more. Should have been 20, you know? And the problem is here. We got to get up. Us Homestead people got to get up and raise our voices. And I know that I spoke with the mayor, and I think I made a phone call to Patricia, our council member, and I don't know the other council members, but I'd like to, because I have a lot of other ideas, you know, how, like when you stop and that can help the animals. Like when you stop and pull over to help an animal, you could get you could be misinterpreted for being for trespassing, or you get a police officer who's overzealous and can arrest you. I had a friend of mine who was arrested for feeding a horse. So, you know, and those of us in the rescue business don't want to help because we're afraid that you'll end up getting in more trouble than it's worth. We have a law that says you can't touch a dog until for 24 hours you have to put a notice. Well, it was pre-foreclosure era. You know, if you see an animal, would you leave a kid inside a building without any food or water for another day? You don't know how long it's been there. Why is it okay to leave an animal? It's not. And we need to, I mean, I really would like you guys to sit down and look at some of the laws that we have. And what can we change? Like upping the limit. If so-and-so is capable of having 5 or 10 or 20 dogs and his immediate neighbors don't have a complaint, well then let's let that person rescue and save those dogs, because everybody lives under threat. I have a lady who's been 13 years, who she's been, I guess, threatened, bamboozled, stolen from. This guy has her totally under siege because she has, you know, 15 or 20 dogs, and she's not willing to lose them.
Let me recognize Mr. Burgess. He wanted. Okay.
So we need to help people that are helping the animals. And my last comment for tonight is going to be, I think that the rescue people that have put money out of their pocket and should be allowed, and have been working at this in their heart and soul, should be allowed to participate in the solution of the plight of the street dog, which is enormous, and it reflects our heart. And if we do right by the animals, then maybe we'll start doing right by ourselves and our peers. Thank you.
Thank you.
You had a comment, Mayor? Or?
I think Mr. Burgess was.
Well, this goes to, I had an item under my business that kind of relates to this. It's not necessarily anything to do with the laws, but we have been working with Miami-Dade Animal Services, myself, the mayor, some of the management, and some of the staff members. And we are, in fact, today, they have sent us a preliminary contract for the spay-neuter clinic that they're willing to bring down here to Homestead, and a verbal that we need to go through as a city and the city council and okay. It's 'cause it's a little bit different than where we started, but not much. They're not asking for much. So we have been people that have been proactive, and reaching out to them.
Oh, I know, you and your wife and your...
Yeah, unfortunately, the county supersedes us on many of these items, and Homestead is a community that struggles to meet their budget every year with the downward turn that we've hit. And I can assure you that there's 5 or 6 members up here that I know that are committed and do everything that we can and stretch our budgets to make sure that the city of Homestead and its animals are taken care of. The unfortunate problem we have is that most of the animals that we receive into the city come from outside, and we can't, there's no way that we as a city could build a shelter and tell people from the Redlands or whatever who find a dog that we can't take it. Only city dogs could come in. So we fight that battle ourselves. But I can also tell you that there has been talks in the back room about building some kind of temporary kennels down here for the city.
Yeah, maybe
And
several outposts would be better than
Right.
just one big one.
Because the burden that you're asking the city to take on would probably be about a $5 million a year burden. And we don't have the money. We don't have a tenth of that money to
When I was at
take on.
Sabbath Memorial, I was a caretaker out there. When I did my best rescue, I saved the dog, and then I saved the person, because I was able to return the dog to them 6 or 8 months later when they got back up on their feet, they lost their house or their situation changed. So a lot of people are willing to pay for rescuing a dog. So that might be a way to look into financing and having a lot of these illegal rescues function within a legal property. They could have their own quadrant, their own area. But if you want to rescue a dog, and people call me up and, oh, I just found this dog. I said, well, fine, you want to rescue him, pay for it.
George, I know you did many rescues.
You know, you pick them up, you're calling me, you know, it's not, you're not rescuing.
I know you did many rescues, and I know This Is the Dog, which is an organization I'm familiar with, does rescues, and there's not been 1 month that they've ever been close to being in the black. So the donations that you receive from that don't cover. Let's not kid ourselves, that donations on stray dogs covers the bill. And I wish it did, because that would solve a lot of problems, but it doesn't. There's the donations that you get usually covers about half of what a dog costs to vet, get cleaned up, and get back out there. So I'll leave it at that, Mayor. I just wanted to put that out there, that we do have some commitment from the county is to bring in something down here, not to necessarily help with the housing, but to help to get the population boom of stray dogs and dogs in period and cats under control. So thank you.
And I want to follow up with Mr. Burgess and say that there are a lot of things that we're trying to do, but what we don't want to do is say we're going to do something that overpromise and underperform. We want to, if we say we're going to do it, we want to do it. So there are a lot of things that, like Mr. Burgess says, our staff is looking at all options, what we can do, and not take on the total responsibility that is the county's to take this problem and get this problem under control. So we're not going to take the responsibility from the county, but we're going to do what we can within our means to leverage the rescue groups and participate alongside with them, and again encourage the county to come down and look this way rather than just worry about communities to the north. So just be confident that there's a lot of effort that hasn't necessarily been talked about out on the dais here, but there's a lot of work being done behind the scenes, and we're hoping that we can bring forward something rather quickly, again, that works with the rescue groups.
I agree, and I know you guys are working. I'm just here stoking the fire and making sure that people don't forget that we have this enormous problem. If I could suggest another funding source, which I did mention to Alex, as the same way we name American Airlines Arena. Well, let's go to Alpo or Purina or a Frontline, you know, and get a corporate sponsor to name these facilities that are being built here. That's almost, it takes some advertising, somebody who's in the field and can approach these companies, but that seems like a really great way. Animal Planet used to pay Animal Services $100,000 a year just to follow them around. That was another idea that we discussed as a TV program, but I'll leave that thought with you.
Okay.
See who we can get to, put their name, attach their name to this dog crisis.
Well, call the office again. We'll set up another meeting, and we'll get some of our staff in the room to tell you what their ideas are. Maybe we can marry some ideas that you have and push some initiatives forward, okay?
Okay, thank you very much.
Very good, thank you.
All right.
Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing at this time. Now, while we're on this conversation, I want to ask the council, I was approached by the Pets Trust. They're an advocate group for what we do, and I mentioned that they wanted to go to Tallahassee and try to do some lobbying, and I offered, with your suggestions, would be, could we ask them to tell us what their initiatives were and then let our lobbyists in Tallahassee carry that message so that when they go speak, they're actually helping to carry the message for the Pets Trust. And we're not sending them for the Pets Trust. They'll be doing our lobbying anyway. But do you see any downside or any problem as long as we know what they're advocating for? As long as we get what they're advocating for ahead of time, would the council be, would there be any problem with us asking them to carry that message for the Pets Trust? Suggestion, questions, legal, illegal?
No, I just think that the agenda of the Pets Trust should come to council so that you can approve it and then include it within the city's legislative package.
Okay, so we need to put it on as an item?
I think that everybody should see what the agenda is.
Okay, I'll get them to bring to us what their issues are that they want to deliver. And then if you guys will take a look at it, maybe it might be something that kind of fits in with what we're trying to do anyway. So, sorry to kind of disrupt the meeting, but we were on the conversation. So the public meeting's been closed. Any additional?
Mayor, if I could make one comment
Yes, sir.
on that. I
Mr.
think
Burgess.
we need to make sure that we're clear with our lobbyists. We need to give them direction if we reach out to that, to what extent we want them to go with things.
Exactly.
And not to make sure that we don't overstep our boundaries either.
And on the heels of some of the circumstances that we saw last year, where we take a package of information that's obviously not going to have any achievable success, let's pare it down to the issues that are going to be most winnable, if you would want to say, or the most effective for the community, rather than just getting everything lost in a big pile of papers. And that's something that staff, we need to, rely on our lobbyists to give us that guidance as to where's the money this year and where's the opportunity this year. And let's see what we have that fits into those categories. And so the council can debate, which issues, are most significant to us as a community. So, any additions, deletions, deferrals?
Mayor, we need a motion to add the four items, which are the two collective bargaining agreements, 3 items, 2 collective bargaining agreements, and the amendment on the little additional money on the artificial turf to the agenda.
Is there a motion?
Is there a deletion? Yes. Well, there apparently is a deletion.
Second. Moved and seconded to add those 3 items on. All in favor? Aye. Anything else?
There's a deletion as well, card number 1351, which was a request for a fee waiver by Prince Silvers. It's on for discussion. That request was withdrawn.
Fee waiver's been withdrawn? Okay. Mr. Burgess?
We had, and this was a motion that myself and Councilwoman Waldman had made, we were supposed to reach out to them. Were we able to contact them, and did they, what kind of response did they have back to us, Dennis, or the manager, whomever?
Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, we did contact them the same day, the next day. They contacted us, told us they were going to show up. And then probably 3 days, like 2 days after, they said they found another venue in South Miami. So they sent us an email to waive their fee, to cancel it.
Okay, so, and we had given them an opportunity to use the telephone and all that. I just want to make sure we're clear on that. We gave them every opportunity to come here and represent themselves one way or another that we had asked about.
That's correct, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir.
You're welcome, sir.
Yes, sir. Item 1.
Did we actually have a vote?
We did vote on the additions.
Okay.
Do you want to need to vote on the deletion?
No, we'll do those, the deletion too, yes.
Madam Clerk, we did have a vote, correct? Not for the deletion. Do we need a deletion? A motion for a deletion? Is there a motion? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Tab 1, item 1, addendum 1.
You want to start with the addendums or with the regular?
I've got addendum 1, 2, and 3 here. Whatever.
Okay, so
what do you-
let's do those just like that. Okay. These first two items, I think I can probably read together.
Combined.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, providing for ratification of the collective bargaining agreement between Dade County Police Benevolent Association, police officers, detectives, and sergeants, City of Homestead, effect from October 1st, 2014, September 30th, 2016, authorizing the city manager to sign the collective bargaining agreement. On behalf of the city, authorizing the city manager to make all actions necessary to implement the collective bargaining agreement and providing for an effective date. The second one is virtually the same. A resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, providing for ratification of the collective bargaining agreement between the Dade County Police Benevolent Association, police lieutenants, and the City of Homestead, in effect from October 1st, 2014, September 30, 2016, authorizing the city manager to sign the collective bargaining agreement. On behalf of the city, authorizing the city manager to take all actions necessary to implement the collective bargaining agreement, providing an effective date.
So, staff report, this is basically just the agreement, the contract between the police employee, the police
Yes, Mayor.
police union for the,
For police officers, detectives, and sergeants, and for lieutenants.
okay. Any questions from council? This is a public hearing on addendum 1 and addendum 2, which is a ratification or voting on the contract agreement. See no comments from the public. I'll close the comment. Is there any other questions from council? Mr. Burgess?
Thank you, Mayor. No, I just want to say that I attended, as you did today, their holiday luncheon over there, and the chief gave a speech as he usually does, and we brought this topic up, and I can tell you that they were very thankful, and they know that they are well-liked and very thankful for what they're getting, because not many unions were able to do, or cities were able to do what the city of Homestead's been able to do for their police officers through the downward turn and now the upward spiral that we hope continues for the future. So I just wanted to say that they seem to be very thankful and grateful, as we are to them, for their service that they give us every day.
Agreed. Chief, I'd like to thank you for your leadership over there and all the things that you're doing to educate your officers on what the city's trying to do, and explaining where we are, and we really appreciate you keeping the ship together over there, and I want to thank you publicly and personally, and you got a great staff around you, command staff, so glad that we could be able to, as a community, give back a little bit for the years where we weren't able to. So, and I want to thank the council members for their support and doing what we consider to be the right thing. So thanks again, Chief. And any other comments, questions? Was there a motion?
Move it.
Is there a second? Moved and seconded. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Fairclough?
Yes.
Councilwoman Woolman?
Yes.
Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
On both or one at a time? Was that?
That was for both of them.
That was for both. Okay, so
Resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending previous authorization for the purchase and installation of 6 static, anti-electrostatic, and anti-microbial ultra playground turf, ADA compliant artificial turf at Blakely Park for the City of Homestead Parks and Recreation Department from Superior Park Systems pursuant to City Code Section 2411.1, exemptions from competitive bidding, increasing the price, amending and superseding Resolution R201411-124 on the same subject, providing for an effective date.
a report from staff.
Mayor, staff recommends that mayor and council authorize the city manager to approve and amend the capital improvement project CPO 505 for additional purchases and installation of the aforementioned X-static antimicrobial ultra playground turf at Blakely Park Fitness Area.
Any questions from council? This is a public hearing. If anyone would like to ask any questions regarding this issue, you're welcome to come to the podium. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Final comments? Is there a motion?
Move it, Mayor.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Fairclough?
Yes.
Councilwoman Woolman?
Yes.
Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
We're going on to tab 2, which is the consent agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor? Motion carries. Public hearings. Mr.
Yes,
Tate.
please be advised the following items on the agenda are quasi-judicial in nature. If you wish to comment upon any of these items, please indicate the item number you would like to address when the announcement regarding the quasi-judicial item is made. An opportunity for persons to speak on each item will be made available after the applicant and staff have made their presentations on each item. Swearing in, all testimony, including public testimony and evidence, will be made under oath or affirmation. Additionally, each person who gives testimony may be subject to cross-examination. If you do not wish to be either cross-examined or sworn, your testimony will be given its due weight. The general public will not be permitted to cross-examine witnesses, but the public may request the council to ask questions of staff or witnesses on their behalf. The full agenda packet on each item is hereby entered into the record. Persons representing organizations must present evidence of their authority to speak for the organization. Further details of the quasi-judicial procedures may be obtained from the clerk. In accordance with Code Section 2-591, any lobbyist must register before addressing the council on any of the following items. At this time, council members must disclose any ex parte communications concerning any items on the agenda. And Mayor, if I could, just for everyone, for the record, there was an email that was circulated on the Trio Kingman item, the rezoning, from Pat Picuzzo regarding the traffic study. So we'll disclose that the applicant has a copy of that email, and it'll be entered into the record. So,
Okay, I did speak with Mr. Arza, representative, and Mr. Cordino.
hearing nothing else at this
Yeah,
time.
hang on. I've also spoken to, on tab 15, I've spoken to the applicant's representative.
Ms. Wallman, did you have a?
Yeah, I just wanted it on the record that Mr. Pacuzzo did not include me on the email.
Okay.
Thank you. At this time, the clerk will swear in any persons who wish to testify on any of the following quasi-judicial items.
Please stand, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, please state your name, hereby swear or affirm that the information I present shall be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God. Thank you. You may be seated.
Tab 14 is the second reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, considering the request of VFP Homestead LLC for a rezoning of an approximately 9.8 acre parcel from the General Use G zoning district to the Retail Commercial Business District B2 for property located at the northwest corner of Southwest 162nd Avenue and Southwest 328th Street as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date. This is second and final reading.
Anything from Mr. Cordino?
Yes, sir. We recommend that the mayor and council approve this rezoning from general use to restricted retail B1 for this parcel of land. We've gone over this a couple of times before. In October, the council approved this on first reading. In November, the applicant pulled the application, and in subsequent to that, they've proffered that they would apply for B1 zoning, not B2 zoning, and so we're again recommending approval.
Mr. Burgess?
Thank you, Mayor. No, it backs up to both myself and Councilwoman Waldman's district, so I just wanted to say to the landowner and the applicant's representatives, thank you. I know that I wasn't comfortable with what was being proposed there, and I certainly do appreciate you all coming back with what I think will be a much better project or a product in the future for the surrounding areas and more compatible, so thank you.
Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Waldman?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, this is in my district, and I'm very happy that you pulled the agenda, the item from the agenda last time, giving everybody time to think. I can tell you that the people that I have had a conversation with are very happy that you've changed it, and I just want to say thank you, because it's not often that we have people who realize the needs of the community and realize the fears of the community, you know, with lots of things that are going on and changes. So with that being said, I just want to publicly thank you and your clients for being considerate.
Thank you,
So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Anything else from council? Ms. Fairclough?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Mr. Arza, in light of the email that we all received regarding, I believe, the traffic study?
Different item. I think that this,
Oh, I'm
that's
sorry.
the next
I'm ahead
item.
of myself.
Councilwoman
Sorry.
Abaya.
I retract.
Yeah. You can pick right up right there in 30 seconds, but, yeah.
That's it. Ms. Woolman, did you have a comment? Okay. All right, so you're good. Okay. All right, this is a public hearing. It's open to the public. If anyone would like to come up and speak. Mr. Arza?
Hugo Arza, law offices at 701 Brickell Avenue. Obviously, very brief thank you to all who have spoken. We heeded your concerns, and we're happy to move forward at this time. And given the size of the property, any site plan down the road has to come back before you. So I suspect you'll see me again with this project at some point down the road, but it'll be more fleshed out, and we'll have more answers for you. Thank you for your support this evening.
Okay, this is a public hearing. If anyone would like to speak for or against this project, you're more than welcome to come at this time. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Any final comments from council? Is there a motion?
Move it.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any final comments?
This is a motion to approve the proposed ordinance amending to B1.
B1, correct? Yes, sir. Okay. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fairclough?
Yes.
Councilwoman Woolman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Tab 15.
Tab 15 is the first reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, considering the request of Trio Kingman LLC for a rezoning of an approximately 77.3 acre parcel from the agricultural AU zoning district to the one-family R1 zoning district for property located at the southwest corner of Southwest 152nd Avenue, Kingman Road, and Southwest 320th Street, Maury Drive, as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date. This is first reading.
Any report from staff?
Yes, sir. We recommend Mayor and Council approve this request to rezone the 77 acres known as Trio Kingman. We've reviewed this against our zoning regulations and found that it's in compliance. They're seeking approval of they have actually submitted a concurrent site plan and tentative plat, which we'll be hearing at our next meeting. If we approve the rezoning, they are looking at 247 single-family lot subdivision at a density of 3.18 units per acre. In November, we deferred taking action on this request so that the applicant could go back and have communications with the neighbors. I believe they've done so, and Mr. Arza will report on that. And so we are going to keep our recommendation of approval.
Okay. Mr. Burgess.
Sure. Wearing my button out here tonight. First of all, thank you to the applicant too, because I know that they did go back to the association at my request in the last meeting where we had kind of shut them down until that's one of the things I think is very important, and we've proposed to the code as we move and change the code forward. My question to Mr. Corradino, if I may, is because it's been brought to our attention in an email and several other leaders over there have brought that their traffic study was done in July, which is obviously not a peak season for us on that highway, being that there's no schools and that road is traveled by 4 different schools. So can you explain, just so that everybody's comfortable, including myself and the neighbors and the representatives, how we accept the traffic study that's done in July and doesn't probably reflect the true numbers of the travel and usage of that road on a daily basis?
Yes, sir. As you know, an application may come in at any given time during the year. And so we can't necessarily control when they come in. So what we do, which the state controls and common engineering practice, is every week of the year there's something called a peak season factor that's applied to every count. And that adjusts the counts for the peak season of the year. So for instance, at something that's completely off peak, this would be that it was counted in July, would get adjusted based on state counts for the area. So local count, it's not a regional or statewide count. They look at count stations in the area and they figure out historically what they need to mark up, and these numbers change every year. They would mark this up by 5%. Concurrently, or similarly, if you were to count, say, right now, they would mark that count down by 1%. So they normalize all the counts. So really, it doesn't really matter when you take the count during the year. You apply a peak season factor to it, which marks it up or down to the peak season. And without getting too technical, that's the way you do it. In this case, like I said, they marked it up 5%. We went back and compared numbers from a count station, the nearby FDOT count station, and the difference in volumes between when that count was taken and the peak season was exactly 5%. So we're very confident with that. It's an adequate traffic study.
And can you tell me what that 5% equals? How many trips a day? Any idea? Anybody remember?
I don't remember. I'd have to go back and look at the study, but it's certainly, it's well less than the remaining capacity on the road. I mean, you could probably double this development.
No, and I agree with you that road only fails at certain times of the day at peak hours, and that. So that's my one concern. But I wanted to get that out there because that has been a big concern that some people have brought up from the neighborhood that's adjacent to this development. So I wanted to make sure that everybody is clear as to how the city's rationale is on the traffic count and how it gets counted and how it's viewed by our staff. And so that's regulated by the state. Is that correct, Mr. Cordino?
Yes, sir. We use the state collects those numbers and historic data again every week of the year, okay. And they regulate those peak season factors each year.
And I know that we're going for zoning tonight, and we're not technically looking at their site plan and all. But as we do go for the zoning, they're going to be asking for some cut through on 152 for an entrance. Have we looked? And I know the 604 feet and that. Can you explain what the county requires for cut-through separations from a roadway to another cut-through or however the continuation goes? And have we looked at that to make sure that these cut-throughs are not going to be affecting traffic egress and ingress or north and south on that highway to a detrimental level?
Correct. Depending on the type of road, the classification, whether it's state, county road, there are different standards on how close intersections or cut-throughs can be. The county allows, or FDOT also allows anywhere between 600 and say 1,300 feet between the various intersections or cut-throughs based on the posted speed limit. And we've looked at, I think we're right around the area. I would suggest that before anything like this gets approved, it really needs to go through an operational analysis so that we can understand exactly how the traffic's going to behave coming in and out. And the intersections may be spaced adequately, but really if you want to find out how they're going to behave, you would look at a more detailed study of the immediate area. The study we had done before is a concurrency analysis. It's looking at a mile or so around the area and just trying to find out if your roadways have capacity on them. If you want to find out how an intersection works, that's not the right study to look at. You want to look at a more detailed study. We did pass out, I think it's in some of your packets, an 8.5 or 11 by 17 sheet, kind of a graphic of Kingman, which has the two intersections, the one at Palm Ridge Gardens and the one for this development. It should be up there somewhere. It's called Exhibit C. Do you have? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we pass it out in the big.
Okay. Continuation, if I may, Mayor.
Go right ahead, sir. You got the floor.
Mr. Cordino brought up a number of 600 feet, and I see that one of them falls under that at 540 feet. For the Palm Ridge Gardens, which obviously isn't with this. So when we get back to that project, I guess we'll need to discuss that.
Well, that's already been approved. So what we need to do is really look at all of these things coordinated together because they're yet unconstructed. But when we did Palm Ridge Gardens, we compelled the applicant to put the cut in and asked them if they would pay for some of it. So I think what we would do, because we have now 3 intersections that are all approaching pretty close proximity to one another, is do an analysis of how these things would work in conjunction with one another. When Palm Ridge Gardens got approved, this application had not yet been submitted, so it wasn't anticipated. So a broader analysis like that would be beneficial to see how this link in the road is going to function.
So that would be something that we would need for the site plan then? Not, because I don't want to hold these.
It's not appropriate for zoning because,
right,
I mean, we do that
it's not
stuff at
for
site
us
plan.
tonight, but it is
Correct.
something that we need to discuss down the road.
Correct.
Correct.
It's appropriate to discuss those issues at site planning.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor.
Mr. Burgess? Ms. Fairclough?
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to articulate the comment and concern that Councilman Burgess brought up as a result of the traffic study, and kind of wanted some clarification as to why we would approve a traffic study in July that doesn't reflect the traffic patterns in August. So in your professional opinion, you feel as if the 5% markup that was automatically applied to this traffic study is acceptable considering the traffic that is in place when school is in session?
Yes. Yes, we do when we work with the applicants when they come in to put together methodologies, and our approach is to apply some very conservative factors. So we applied the greatest growth factor, season factor that the state applies. We applied it to this. We applied what we consider a large annual growth factor to it, which I think was over 3%, when actual growth is probably less than 3%. So we take a pretty stringent look. This is a very conservative analysis. It still passes with plenty of capacity. It's not even within debatable distance. So we think this is an adequate traffic study.
Okay, thank you.
Joe, let me ask a question. The proposed site plan, again, we're talking about rezoning, but the proposed site plan shows 3 entrances and exits. So it's not, some of the problems that we have in some of the units, I mean, some of the developments, it's one entrance and one exit, all opening onto one roadway. At least there's an opportunity for more than one way out of this development, in the future when we look at the site plan, right?
Yes, sir. There's 3 different ways in and out of this. So effectively, you'll be spreading the traffic over three entrances and exits,
Right.
which minimizes the impact on any one area. If you were to narrow that down, obviously, if you only had one, 100% of the site traffic would be going through that intersection, would have much worse performance than it does now.
Okay. Any other comments right now? I'll open up the public hearing. At this time, if anyone from the public would like to speak to this application, rezoning, Mr. Arza?
Yes, thank you so much, Mr.
Make it
Mayor.
quick. Make it quick.
Yep, make it quick. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. Again, Hugo Arza, law offices at 701 Brickell Avenue, joined by Alex Arias of our firm, and also by Otto Boudet and Carlos Ortega, principals with Trio Kingman LLC. You've heard a lot of the discussion, and let's take the last point first, or a couple of points I want to mention. Obviously, we're before you today, first reading for rezoning. I think some of the technical questions regarding traffic and regarding curb cuts are questions that we'll have concrete answers for in January, if we're fortunate to have your approval this evening. We were deferred last month, and I do want to just speak briefly to that. We were deferred last month so that we would have an opportunity to discuss with the neighbors to the south, the Northgate community, some of the concerns they had. I think it's important for the record to note we had been speaking with those folks from before. We perhaps hadn't addressed every concern, but we certainly had not waited until arriving here that day. We had met with them prior to that meeting. So, I thought it was important to recognize that we had always understood that there were neighbors to our south we needed to work with. In the interim now, and subsequent to our November meeting when we were deferred, we had an opportunity to continue our dialogue with Mr. Sullivan, Kevin Sullivan, who's here today, who I know will speak shortly. I want to thank him for taking the time to meet with us. The other board members that met with us in Northgate, we met with them on a couple of occasions, had a couple of phone calls, and we ultimately ended up with a letter that I believe all of you have as part of your package, that I'll also introduce one into the record, that is actually on the letterhead of my client officially to the Keysgate Community Association. We learned during this process that Northgate is a neighborhood that is part of a larger association, and so the letter is addressed to the Keysgate Association, but addresses all of Northgate's concerns. And it's part of the record. I don't want to take the time to go through the specific issues. I think what is important for all of you to know, and I think you will hear Mr. Sullivan echo, is that the system worked. This applicant moved forward and met with their neighbors, addressed those concerns, put those commitments that they made in writing, have introduced that in writing to the city as a commitment, have given that commitment to neighborhood that is to their neighbors. And so, we're bound by those commitments we've made. And so, it's obviously, I think, much easier for me to stand here today and ask you for your support at this first reading of a rezoning, knowing that we've done all that we can, and that I think you'll hear shortly that we've addressed the concerns that community has. And it's just the beginning of the process, and we'll continue to do so. So rather than taking up a lot of time, if any of you have any specific questions for me, I'd be happy to answer those. And if not, I would urge your support at first reading tonight for the rezoning of this parcel, and would look forward to seeing you in January so that we can discuss the site plan. Thank you.
Any questions?
And I'm going to introduce him to the record. I think it's part of your package, but just...
Okay. Okay, this is a public hearing. Would anyone like to speak? You're more than welcome to come forward at this time. Mr. Sullivan.
Kevin Sullivan, 1860 Southeast 6th Court. I'm here tonight as the elected delegate to the Keysgate Community Association representing the village of Northgate. And it's true what the attorney has just said. We had several meetings, several correspondence back and forth, but I have to thank you, the council, for being the catalyst to bring this forward. And I'm very, very thrilled with the fact that you're looking at making this a regular occurrence where any development is coming into an established neighborhood. I really think that that's a positive step for the city of Homestead. Now back to Trio Kingman. We have met with them. They've addressed our concerns. They've issued the letter that he spoke to, and because we're just part of the Keysgate Community Association, it had to go to the association attorney. They've worked out the language, so I can confidently say that at this point, we have no objection to this development. And I do want to thank Trio Kingman and their attorney for being cooperative in this whole process. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. Any final questions, comments from council? This is a public hearing. I'm going to close the public hearing at this time. Is there a motion?
Move it.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Burgess.
If I could, I also wanted to thank Mr. Orza and the property owners there for taking the time. And I know that they had been out there before the last council meeting when I addressed it. But I just wanted to make sure that we were all on the same page as, we're voted in by the citizens here, and we've got to make sure that we protect them and look out for them. And I know that you guys, this is a great looking project that's going to come there, single family homes, big lots, and going to help us in the future with what's going on here as we build out. It's what we're looking for, I believe, as a council. And so I just want to say thank you for your cooperation, as this is kind of the first time that we had really put the hammer down on somebody to make sure that that our concerns and the neighbors' concerns were taken care of before we would, consider it up here on the dais. So thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Burgess. Moved by Mr. Burgess. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Wallman. Any final comments? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Fairclough?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallman?
Yes.
Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all. Happy holidays.
Tab 16.
Yes, tab 16 is a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting final plat approval for Palm Ridge Gardens located south of Southwest 323rd Street, west of Southeast 30th Terrace, north of Southeast 4th Place, and east of Southwest 152nd Avenue, as legally described in Exhibit A, consisting of approximately 9.64 acres and providing for an effective date.
Any report from staff?
Yeah, we recommend approval of the request for the final plat. We actually approved the site plan and development about a year or so ago, and this is the last step in the development process. It's largely ministerial. We've reviewed the surveyor's plan, and it conforms with our code. So again, we're recommending approval.
Okay. Questions from council? Mr. Burgess?
Thank you. Mr. Cordino, if I may, back to our last issue. Having already approved them for their site plan and all, and now we come back with the cut through. So what do we do to ensure, are they affected by this, or is it strictly the next guy that's in line that gets the burden of?
I think it depends. I think this applicant, from my point of view, has been approved and has gone through the process, where the other applicant has not been approved yet. This applicant has the right to build, committed funds to the insertion of a cut through where they are. I think that we need to look at that road and at least that segment of road in its totality with all of the intersections that we envision now, see how they function, to see if there's an issue in the first place. And then I believe that we need to decide on if there is an issue, how we deal with it. I would imagine that that gets dealt with by the guy who's not been approved yet.
James, you're comfortable?
Yes.
Okay. I know that Mr. Deca has been out several times to the neighborhood and looked around with myself and Mr. Cordino both as the property line and met with many of the property owners out there, and I think that they're all have come to some sort of agreement. Of course, you'll never please everybody, but I believe the majority of people are okay with what's been done out there and what's planned, and the ability that Mr. Deca gave them to tie into the fence that he's going to put on the property line and all that. So I think the neighbors as a whole, of course you can't please everybody, but I think as a whole they're happy with the product that's going to be behind them, or as happy as they can be, you know, with anybody getting something built behind them. But I know that he's extended an arm and a hand for them to shake, handshake, allowing them to tie into their fence and even helping with some grading and stuff like that of their of the existing lots that are out there. So I believe I haven't had any complaints since then from the neighborhood. I know I see some of them here tonight. I don't know if they have any different concerns tonight, but that was the last word that I had in the meeting and the conversations after the last time we were on the property.
Mr. Waldman?
Thank you. I didn't realize you were finished, Mr. Burgess. I'm sorry. I had a few questions, and then I had some questions from some people who live near there. I'm sorry, sir, your name?
David Deca.
David
Deca,
Okay.
D-E-K-A.
Thank you. First of all, the entrance, there's one entrance, correct?
That's correct.
And only one, that's the same entrance and the same exit?
That's correct.
Okay. Is it gated?
No, it's not gated.
So it's not gated. So is there going to be an HOA
There will be an HOA for the common areas,
for the common areas?
common area landscaping.
Okay. And so therefore, it would be public street or private street?
It's a private street.
It's private street, even though it's not gated? Okay.
That's correct.
Okay, and I wanted to know, I guess this might be directed at staff, have we checked out the water drainage? Because that is a very low area. I've had concerns from people that live on the boundary there as far as that it would be adequate with
Yes, ma'am, we
requirements.
checked all those situations out during the site plan, which we approved last year, and they all conform to our standards.
Okay. And then the fence that's there bordering East Lake, would there be a berm or would the property go right up to that fence line?
David, you want to explain that?
We have a berm that goes around our site. It's a small berm, but it's just for retaining drainage.
Okay.
That's only, it's not
That's what
to
I wanted
retain
to-
water on our site, so it doesn't drain onto neighboring properties.
That's what I wanted to hear. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, sir.
Mr.
Thank
Burgess,
you.
did you?
One thing I didn't address, if I could, with staff, there is a right-of-way back in there that, say, most of the fences sit 8 feet back from the actual property line now. What can we do as the neighbors move forward to vacate that right-of-way, which apparently is never going to be used? I think it's a utility right-of-way, but there's never going to be utilities down through there. Or how do we go about so that we don't have this dead space in between the two yards?
Need to double check what we've answered before, but I think we addressed that with the department that needed the right-of-way wasn't willing to vacate the right-of-way at this point in time, so.
And that's our utility department?
I believe so. I have to go back and look at my records. I don't have that on me, but I know somebody in the department. I'll ask.
Mayor, to the utilities director, is there a reason why you guys would want to be holding the easement there, or the right-of-way?
I'd have to show her where it is really. I don't think she's familiar with it. So let me,
I know we recently vacated an easement.
different one.
Different one, okay. Yeah, if we're holding on to it, it's because we're planning facilities. Without knowing exactly what parcel you're talking about, I'd have to research it, but typically
Okay.
that's why we would hold on to it, is because we're
If you know where the
planning.
East Lake is, it's right there, and I believe the utilities, Mr. Decker, you got design coming straight down in your main road? Is that where they're gonna come in, or?
Utilities for my site, yes, will be in the road, inside my private right-of-way.
Right. So this is an 8-foot swath of land that goes, that technically belongs to the landowner to the south, which is the East Lake neighborhood. And his property adjoins it, but there's that 8-foot area in there that right now isn't allowed to be used, or their fences technically aren't allowed to go across it. So I'm just trying to figure out how, when, and what we do for those neighbors so that we don't have fence A, 8 feet, I believe is the measurement, and then fence B with an overgrown sawgrass 12 feet high and whatever goes with it. If there's something we can do and look at as a city, then we're not going to use it, then perhaps we can just vacate it and do away with it administratively, or whatever the easiest course of action is for the landowners out there.
I'll coordinate again, and I mean, I need to find,
But can we do that administratively, Joe, or is it a big process where every landowner has to come in and sign and be on board and that?
no, there
Yeah, I know
are, we
behind-
vacate right-of-ways, we do that. It's not a very complicated process, so let
Okay.
me, I answered that, I have it in my notes, I just gotta go find back what we,
Can you please coordinate with our utilities department and whoever it is over there to see that we can,
we will do.
what course of action we need, or if it can't be done, then let's get that word out there so that people can make plans for what's going to be done in that 8-foot area.
Will do.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, sir. At this time, I'll open up the public hearing. If anyone would like to speak for or against this application, you're welcome to come forward at this time. If the applicant would like to say anything in addition, or if the council has any additional questions.
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. I see no public comment. I'll close the public hearing. Any final comments from the council? Is there a motion?
I'll move it.
Is there a second? Moved and seconded. Final comments, roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Fairclough?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallman?
Yes.
Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Next item.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Next item is an ordinance of City Homestead, Florida, amending the budgets for each of the several funds and departments of the year for fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2014, ending September 30th, 2015, by increasing the total budgeted revenues and expenditures by $55,544,778, providing for a repealer, severability, and an effective date.
Report from staff, anything?
Thank you, Mayor. Staff recommends that Mayor and Council approve and amend the fiscal year 2015 budget for various funds as per the attached schedule. The purpose of this amendment is to roll the amounts encumbered primarily for ongoing capital projects at fiscal year end 2014 into the current fiscal year's budget.
Rolling numbers forward. I'll open up the public at this time. This is a public hearing. You're welcome to speak for or against amending the budget, rolling items forward. Close the public hearing at this time. Questions from council? Is there a motion?
Second, Mayor.
Moved and seconded. Final comments, roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Fairclough?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallman?
Yes.
Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Tab 18.
Yes, Mayor, it is staff's recommendation that Mayor and Council authorize the city manager to execute a contract agreement with the qualified proposers as listed on Exhibit 2, meeting the specifications for the provision of Consultants Competitive Negotiation Act in the areas of architectural and/or engineering services as required by the State of Florida Statute 287.055, which requires state government agencies, municipalities, or political subdivisions, school boards, and school districts to select a consulting firm based on qualifications rather than on lowest bid basis. It is the Evaluation Committee's recommendation that the RFQ be awarded to the qualified proposers listed in Exhibit 2 for services which are to be provided on various projects and assignments on an as-needed basis. The city intends to retain firms pursuant to the CCNA to be available to perform services which may include engineering, architecture, electrical engineering, right-of-way and traffic engineering, construction engineering, civil engineering, environmental permitting and engineering, preparation of plans and specifications, construction management, planning, design, and/or construction supervision and administration.
Questions from council? Okay, this is a public hearing. Ms. Fairclough.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I have one question. Okay, after all of that you've said, what does that mean, Mr. Corradino? It seems a bit broad in that we're going to, Corradino. Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Does that mean that we're going to proceed with just contracts with these individuals, and if there are projects that come up, that we will engage in further contact with them as far as the particular projects? It seems a bit broad, so I'm just trying to understand what all this means.
If I could help out, would that be all right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I didn't want to cut Joe off there, especially with that beard. I got a thing about the beard. Okay. There's, under the Florida statutes, in order for us to purchase architects, engineers, landscape architects, and surveying services, there's a special procedure. We can't bid it out.
Okay.
Basically, we do it by qualifications, and then once we select the firms, then we can negotiate based on a task basis. And so what we do is we have all of these firms sort of under contract, and then when we have a particular task, staff picks the firm or firms, and then we don't have to go through the whole bidding process, but the contracts themselves, the actual work, would be budgeted through council. So that's basically, these are sort of on-call firms,
Okay,
and so that's what you need.
And I just have a follow-up comment. In looking at the rating sheets, it would be helpful to me, and although I understand why you don't write as much feedback on them because they're subject to public record, but it would be helpful if we had that feedback, because I kind of like to know the rationale when it comes to the scoring, particularly when there's a disparity in my mind with one applicant with 20 points from one score and then 10 points from another score. So to me, I'm like, okay, what is the rationale for that 20 and that 10? But if you had comments and notes down there, I think that would provide a bit more clarity for me. So just moving forward, if we can write as much feedback as we can. No, Dennis does, he writes, but some of them don't write anything. So just for future reference.
Okay. This is a public hearing. I'll open up the public hearing at this time. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Any final comments from council? Is there a motion? Is there a second? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Woolman?
Yes.
Councilman Burgess? Yes. Councilwoman Fairclough?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Tab 19.
Mr. Mayor, if I could make a suggestion, tabs 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24 are all eminent domain items. The first two are settlements being approved on the road widening project, and the next four are authorizing taking of parcels for Losner Park. For the three of them are for Losner Park, and one of them is for the police headquarters. And obviously, if we wanted to discuss them and get some more detail, that's up to you. But if they were non-controversial, I could read them all and you could vote on them together. It's up to you.
Any objection to putting them together? Okay, we'll put them together.
So, the first one is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, approving accepting final settlement of parcels 1 and 1A of 328th Street from US 1 to 167 Avenue Road Widening Project, providing effective date. A resolution of the City Council, City of Homestead, Florida, approving accepting final settlement of parcels 2 and 2A of 328th Street from US 1 to 162 Avenue Road Widening Project, providing for an effective date. Resolution of the City Council, City of Homestead, Florida, providing the acquisition through negotiated conveyance or eminent domain of the private property designated as parcel B serves a public purpose and necessary for expansion of Losner Park, authorizing the city attorney and others to act on his behalf to initiate eminent domain proceedings, authorizing the city manager and the city attorney and others acting on their behalf to retain experts and consultants to take all further actions that are reasonably required to acquire the private property described in Exhibit A. Resolution of the City Council, City of Homestead, finding acquisition through negotiated conveyance or eminent domain of the private property designated as parcel C serves a public purpose and is necessary for expansion of Losner Park, authorizing the city attorney and others acting on his behalf to initiate eminent domain proceedings, authorizing the city manager and the city attorney and others acting on their behalf to retain expert witnesses and consultants and to take all further actions that are reasonably required to acquire the private property described on Exhibit A. Resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, finding the acquisition through negotiated conveyance or eminent domain private property designated parcel B serves a public purpose necessary for the expansion of Losner Park, authorizing the city attorney and others acting on his behalf to initiate eminent domain proceedings, authorizing the city manager and the city attorney and others acting on their behalf to retain expert witnesses and consultants and take all further actions that are reasonably required to acquire the private property described in Exhibit A. The resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, finding that acquisition through negotiated conveyance or eminent domain of the private property designated parcel 8 serves a public purpose and is necessary for construction of police headquarters building, authorizing the city attorney and others acting on their behalf to initiate eminent domain proceedings and authorizing the city manager and the city attorney and others acting on their behalf to retain experts and consultants to take all further actions that are reasonably required to acquire the private property described in Exhibit A.
Anything from staff on any of those, all of those?
Staff recommends approval of all.
Okay. Anything from council, questions from council? Ms. Waldman?
I think Richard should be one of those announcers, you know, at the end where you have to say it real fast. You know,
you mean the small print, the small print.
I've never heard anybody speak so quick. Good job.
Anything else? Okay, this is a public hearing. This references eminent domain questions with 328 widening and potential Losner Park expansions and police station.
I'll move all the items, Mayor.
Okay, is there a second? Moved and second. I'll close the public hearing at this time. Final comments? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fairclough?
Yes.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Okay, we are on reports from the managers.
Nothing from the manager, Mayor.
Mr. Attorney? Mr. Attorney? Okay. Ms. Fairclough?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to start off by thanking the mayor for his support at the chili cook-off that we held in early December, as well as Parks and Recreation for all the time and talent that you invested into ensuring that the chili cook-off was an immense hit. If we host it again, I don't believe that Harrisville could hold the crowd that we've experienced this year. Each year it gets bigger and bigger, so next year we have to potentially look at another venue because it was just too many people at Harrisville. I also would like to thank the council and community, those members that supported the Buy a Tree, Change a Life Christmas tree drive. The proceeds from those funds helps children locally and globally, and that local effort includes supporting the Mayor's Youth Council in helping 5 students to attend our New York and Boston trip that we're going on in March. So I thank everyone that donated or purchased a Christmas tree because those funds were being geared to our local Mayor's Youth Council. So I thank you for that support, and they will be coming to you and the community to help fund the flights and airfares for the other 5 members of the Youth Council. And finally, I'd just like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year if I don't see you before Christmas. And I would also like to express my thanks to everyone in the community that have asked about my mother. As many of you may know, she's going through breast cancer. She's stage 4 breast cancer, but we're battling, and she has the will to survive. So I thank all of you for your prayers.
I want to congratulate you on the job you did with that chili cook-off. I was amazed at the participation. So really, really good job. And I think everybody had a marvelous time. So, Ms. Waldman.
My heart goes out to you, Patricia. You know that. It's a journey we daughters walk, and I've walked it, so I'm here if you need me. She's making me cry right now. My mom's been in the hospital too, so we've been together with this, and my mom's coming home Friday, but my mother has Alzheimer's, and it's a different road. Breast cancer survivor too, but I hope next year you and I can really make October pink, garbage trucks pink, everything pink, or at least a banner, right, Patricia? Something. I just too wanted to thank Parks and Recs. We've had a really busy couple of months, and our holiday party and our dinner with Santa, just everything that they've worked on so hard for, and again, everybody's help and participation. It makes me very proud that that I have the opportunity and the joy to serve on a council where we may agree to disagree, but we are really united, and everybody, I feel, wants the same thing. And Mayor Porter, I know that with your leadership, it's finally happening. So we thank you so much. I thank you so much, and I want to thank my colleagues. I did want to say that we have a few more days. December 22nd is the toy drive, and it's for the soup kitchen. I invited all council to come down and share with us. It's December 22nd at the soup kitchen, and we don't have enough toys. We've been working, but unfortunately the group grows bigger and bigger and bigger. So if anybody wants to donate, there's several locations, or just call our city office, and we'll be happy to have you drop them off there. With that being said, again, I want to thank you all for your support of all of our council, the prayers for all of us. We've all had our problems this year, and I really look forward not only to a joyous holiday, but to a happy new year for all of us, and it will be. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wellman. Mr. Burgess.
Thank you, Mayor. To our utilities department, Ms. Quinones, out at the east end of 328, just to west of 137 Speedway Boulevard, there's a block of lights that have been out for about a month and a half now. Seven of them in a block, and then probably another 5 or 6 along this stretch of road there. I don't know. I know they were out yesterday morning when I was out there. Maybe they've worked on them today or yesterday, but I know that they've been out for a while, and I was wondering if we could bring that to their attention.
They've been working on those lights for several days. There's an underground problem.
Okay. I know that they've been out for a while, and unfortunately, as I ride my bike there in the dark, it's very dark out at that end. Thank you. I am doing a food drive for the soup kitchen, where Ms. Waldman is doing a toy drive for them. It has come to my attention through them that they are in dire need of food, so I was a little late getting started, but anything is better than nothing for them folks over there. So if anybody can find it within themselves, we're collecting food up till this Friday. We'll be taking it to them on Monday. They prefer the large bags of rice or the big gallon cans of any vegetables or fruits that you can find. So we're going to take that over to the soup kitchen on Monday. And I'm sure they'll be very, very appreciative of it. I've got a couple turkeys for them also. So if anybody can help, you can drop off here at the community center. You can drop off at our development services office. You can drop off at the chamber. And there's one more. I can't remember where it is. Kai's Company. Thank you very much. Thank you. And they're a big sponsor, actually, so I feel bad now, but the Kai's Company and some other corporations here in town were the ones that came to me and asked me if I would help to put it together, so I appreciate them very much for their leadership also. Mayor, a couple of weeks ago, you and I were talking, and the funding for the northbound turnpike was a question that you had brought up. It's been brought to my attention that the funds have been officially committed from the state. Mr. Brea was kind enough to tell me about that last week, so that is good news that the funds are there, that the planning and drawings and all that should start in the year 15, correct, with the build-out in year 16? Right, so we're on the way there, not as quickly as we would all like, but hey, at least we have the formal commitment from the state now to do it, so that's good. As I spoke earlier, we have a verbal commitment from the Miami-Dade Animal Services about a spay and neuter clinic that they want to bring down and put over here at Harris Field on the east side. The one thing that they're asking, and this will be something that we'll need to discuss, so I'd like for y'all to start thinking about it, is they do formalize and bring us a interlocal agreement, is they're asking if we could possibly help with their utilities of water and electric. They're going to do all the hookups and the building and all. They're just looking for a little bit of help. And the way that it was explained to me was there are some other people that have found out, or other communities, I should say, that have found out about the possibility of this, and they're trying to cut in on our deal. So if we sweeten the pot a little bit for them, it would be on a year-to-year basis. And of course, they're not going to get things going. It looks like they would be at a January and February reading is what they're hoping for before the Board of County Commissioners, and hope to get it going in March. So it would be for 6 months this year. I don't suspect that the water and electric would be more than a couple, $200-300 a month. So as we move forward, and they do send us a formalized interlocal agreement, just something that we need to be thinking about, because I know they're going to be asking for that. So if you guys could think about that. Mr. Attorney, several months ago I brought up the Speedway tax issue. And I had asked for you to look into a couple different things. One, if we don't pay it, what are the consequences to the city? I was wondering if you had an answer for us.
If we just don't pay the taxes, obviously there was going to, because it's a city, it's different than an individual person. I assume that the first step would be that we would hear from the tax collector, and he would, want to know why we were not paying the taxes. Ultimately, it could go through, I've never heard it happen with city property, because
why not be the first?
You're right. Ultimately we would go through a process with them, and have the right to appeal and all of those things, and in the end, a judge would tell us that we either need to pay the taxes or not.
So would the more prudent thing be to then to file a request, a formal request for a hearing about the amount that we pay out there?
Right, and the amount of private use, public and private use.
Well, one, about the amount that we pay, period, right. And then two, look at the Orlando, as the mayor and I have learned about in this process, look at the Orlando program and their way of how they carve things out for a public use, which lowers their stuff, right. Lowers their value of the property, and therefore lowers the taxes.
As we discussed yesterday, I am convinced that there's some solution to this tax thing, and I don't know if I told the mayor or told you, because I was discussing with both of you. After the first year, I'm going to convene the smartest people in our firm and sit around the table and see if we can fix this have some fresh eyes look at it, and see if we can try to figure something out. But in the meantime, if the council wants me, I'll put it on the next agenda for authorization to move ahead with the appeal. Right.
Right. Yeah. I'm assuming, we all need to do something, and obviously the payment was held up as our finance department wasn't sure where we were going, but we need to do something. We need to call them out, and now that we have a new tax collector down there, and a new, well, he's not new, but he's back in office, I think we need to get his attention and make a formal appeal, however, whatever their process is, and I would hope that the rest of council would support me on that. And then we also should perhaps authorize Mr. Weiss and our finance department to start looking at how Orlando handles their different facilities up there, where they carve out certain areas and deem them public use, because I think that we have certain things out there that under a broad umbrella could fall under that umbrella. We do the drag racing out there on Friday night, which is a public use, because when they first started that That was to get people off the streets for public safety. And it was a big deal that was put out in a joint effort with the FHP and the Speedway together. So, there's little things like that I think we should look at and help us to bring down our cost out there. And I'm not even sure the evaluation that they use out there is a correct formula for what they do out there. So I would like to ask them to prove and show us how they calculate the numbers. And I see Carlos going, oh boy. But if they can prove to us how they come up with the valuation of what they do, I'd like to see. I've never gotten a table of how they do that. I don't know if anybody else ever has. And to me, that would be interesting to see how they do come up with the numbers that they do, and are they legitimate, or are they just some numbers that are picked out of the air? So, any disagreement with that?
No, and let me ask a question too with regards to, Richard, when we went and met with Mayor Jimenez and his staff, you said that, the first thing the mayor said, well, I can fix this, give us the racetrack. And you said that there was some judgment that deemed that, so put that in the mix, because we need to realize that that option is not an option any longer. Because, there's still some question.
There was a court case where the government tried to give a city government tried to give an asset to the county solely for the purposes of avoiding the ad valorem taxes. And the court in that case said you can't do that. That's obvious, trying to obfuscate, the law, and so they didn't allow that. But that was something that we had dealt with, probably 7 or 8 years ago, I thought.
Well, in line with Mr. Burgess's comments and questions, let's take things off the table that aren't on the table. If the transfer, which, that's a policy question, number one, but if it's a legal question, let's take it off the table as the shell game that it was when most of these communities transferred their asset to their county with a reverter clause. So if that's not available to us, let's not even have any commissioner or any mayor, county, anyone talk to us about that. Sorry, Mr. Burgess.
That's all right, quite all right, sir. As we've spoken, we both forget issues on this as
Absolutely.
we speak. It's such a broad, complex issue that you try to remember everything, but you don't. So thank you for your help there. Councilwoman Faircloth, I know the CDD of Oasis was supposed to have a meeting, and they weren't sure if they were going to get a quorum. Were you able to find out if I know you were going to attend, so I didn't want to go for sunshine law violation. Did they have a quorum, and were they able to agree on allowing the county to use the right of way for the street light?
Yes and yes.
Okay, well, that's good news, because that'll, I know Mr. Brea and the county have been waiting on that decision for a while, so that has been a hindrance to our light at Pacific and Kingman 152, so that'll be good. Things should be moving along rather quickly there. I know it's already designed and budgeted, so it should be now just a process of getting it out for bid, and then the build-out comes. Mayor, one point of confusion I'm having with one of my committees is the Art and Public Places. I thought that they always chose their own chair. I was told that we were supposed to choose a chair. Having known the committee and knowing the gentleman that I'd like to ask if we could okay him to be the chair, Efren Nunez, who's the gentleman who brought me this Art and Public Places ordinance 6 or 7 years ago and has run them both in Palmetto Bay and out in California and sits on our board. I'd like to know if we could possibly move him and pass him tonight as the chair of the Art and Public Places.
In the past, Efren Nunez is chair.
I'll move it.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Yes, sir.
And then I've got one other issue, and I voted no on the budget, so this isn't something that I've just thought about today. I think as a city, we spend entirely too much money on parties and special projects. And last Thursday, it came to a head for me, and I look back at the extravagance that was put on a holiday party for only maybe 240 citizens of Homestead were allowed to attend, because that's all the tickets that were there. And I know it came in under budget, and I appreciate that. But then I also look at this Friday night. This room will be full of children with a Santa Claus for them to sit on his lap. And we charge them, and I've come every year since I've been on this council to this particular dinner with my son. And the amount of children that come here that are from needy families, I would say, is unbelievable. And they come with the biggest smiles in their life, and you see them out front trying to figure out how they're going to get the children in here. And I'm appalled that we had the audacity as a council to okay money for parties that were thrown last Thursday, yet we charge these families that are coming here with their children to see Santa Claus this week. And I'll leave it at that. But I am appalled, and many citizens that I've spoken to are appalled also. Thank you.
Okay. Any comments, questions? Okay. Vice Mayor Shelley?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple items. The first is we had the final hearing for the truck bypass last night, and there wasn't a big attendance, so it means that all the problems that have been raised over the course of this process over the last 20 years seems to have finally been resolved. So everyone was very happy with that. It looks like we're going to have that moving forward. It also has been fully funded now, which is something else that had been a problem. We thought it'd be 10 plus years before we even got a process, much less funding for it. So it looks like it is fully funded. It looks like they will start, as it stands right now with the schedule in 2019, they'll start construction of that. However, they did indicate that we could probably push that up a little bit faster. So if us, as the will of the council, puts a little more political pressure on FDOT and our elected officials, it's a good chance we can move that up a little bit quicker so that it corresponds better with the development we have in our downtown district. So I was excited about that going forward. The next item is the holiday trolley, something we're doing different this year. The Park Service had said that most of their visitorship came between Christmas and New Year's, and so this year we decided to try it. We're going to run the trolley for that entire week from Christmas Day to New Year's Day, or excuse me, New Year's Eve. It'll be running the same routes that it does on the weekends, except it'll be running the Monday through Friday time frame. So it'll be interesting to see how that turns out and whether we do it again next year. But this year we're going to have what's called the holiday trolley, and we have the little flyers that come out. They have little Christmas ornaments and all that on there. So that'll be neat. So if you're looking for something to do during the holiday season with your family, come out to Losner Park. Again, it's a free parking, free transportation, free guided tour, and free admission to the parks. And then lastly, just wishing everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year as well. I look forward to coming back here in January and continuing the work that we as a council have been doing. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. The first item we need, the Education Advisory Committee, I think, Ms. Virkulis, you wanted to appoint Ms. Desiree Chase?
Yes.
Is that correct? Is there a motion to appoint Ms. Desiree as a committee member?
Move it.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the second item on the agenda for me is the appointment to the Planning and Zoning Board, and there was some question.
Well, that's what I was going to ask, if we could get clarification on that.
Well, what I'm going to do, because there is no clarification, we're going to pull it tonight, and we'll run it through and make sure that everything is correct, and because I thought we were, but Mr. Sullivan brings up a good question, so we're going to make sure and apply all the rules properly. Yes, sir.
I think, and I may be wrong, but if we went back and looked, I want to say back in '09, we voted where there was allowed to be one, we passed an ordinance where there's one non-resident allowed. I remember something to that effect.
I know it has something to do with voting, but again, at the same time, part of what was trying to be accomplished was getting some people with expertise in other areas. If you have an attorney, so we're just trying to, been trying to get a good group of people to be able to participate. But let's, if you guys don't mind, I'd like to move this off of tonight's agenda and bring it back when we're 100% sure that we've got it by the book. So, do I need a motion to take this off? Okay. All right. So then we'll just leave that. And I just want to follow up with the same comments that I'm proud to be sitting up here with a fine group of elected leadership, and I hope everybody has a wonderful Christmas and New Year's and a wonderful evening. Thanks to the staff. You guys do a great job.
I have one comment, quick comment. I just spoke with James. There's I think the number of people, I don't know how many people come to the other Christmas party, whatever. But whatever it is, there's 350 kids that we accommodate for the Santa Claus. Say it again? What I'd like to do is
the fact, and that's fine, the fact that we charge anybody to come to a party for children upsets me.
I
And I'm
agree.
not here to debate it. I stated my point,
John,
and that's all I want to say.
I'm here. Oh, I totally agree with you. So I spoke to James. We're going to pay for the children to come to see. I know.
My point is that we had a big extravagant party with linen cloths, sash-covered chairs, poinsettias galore, and then these people come here and we give them a paper plate to eat off of with a plastic fork and a paper napkin. Where is the equality in this city?
Anyway, if the council needs to accept this from us, but I spoke to James and we'd like to say it costs the city about they collect about $2,500 for all those kids coming in to see Santa Claus. So I spoke to James and our firm would like to write a check to the city so none of those kids need to be charged to see Santa Claus.
And if I might, Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
and Mr. Burgess, you're absolutely right, we're not here to debate this, but facts are facts, and no one was turned away, no one. There were 400 tickets available because we thought that we were going to be inside the rooms, but we ended up being outside by the pool and patio area, so absolutely no one was turned away. And I wish if you had had a problem, you would have said something before, but it's Christmas, and just like with Miss Faircloth's events and anybody else that has events, you know, we do our very best, we work very hard, and I had only positive responses. I have not had any negative responses, so I hope we can leave it at that.
Well, as you know, as we go forward, I think everyone has the best intentions of building this community as what is so inviting in it, that it is still a community. And you know, as we grow into gates and walls and fences, you know, there's still got to be some aspect of trying to create and still have people come out of their gated communities and come to some sort of function. We can debate the cost of all those functions, but it really rolls into the quality of life component that I think all of us are striving, you know, to achieve. And you know, as we go forward, you know, we're going to continue to honestly discuss our issues and put everything on the table. And Mr. Weiss, you and your staff, if there's some policy tweaking that we need to look at, let's talk about it. Let's be very genuine. And I don't think that anybody is specifically trying to do anything wrong or bad. And I thank you for your contribution, you know, to the Santa party. Maybe we should look at that again next year as not being part of a charge for that.
I know you don't have it in your budget for this year, so I would like somebody to make a motion to accept the contribution.
I would like to move to accept the very generous offer of our city attorneys to fund the dinner with Santa.
And I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you, Mr. Weiss. Thank you for the healthy conversation, everyone.
I'm sorry, through the mayor.
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
Okay, sorry. As you're going back to rethink the planning and zoning board members to make sure that we're in compliance, I invite you to consider arranging that board to be a bit more diverse. Because one thing I stand firmly on is diversity, and the decisions that we make should reflect the diversity in the community. And I love all the men, but I don't see any women on a planning and zoning board.
And listen, I agree, and you have to realize the predicament. We've been advertising this for 6 months, and there's really been no takers. And I thought we had reached out to the council members. So look, bottom line, if you have someone, please have them submit an application to the clerk, and then we'll take this back. And we're not married to this, but we've got to keep a cycle of people getting involved in our community. And they could be the future council members. So we've got to get some fresh faces rolling in. So that's the intent. Nobody on the current planning and zoning board has done anything unacceptable or not worthy of being there.
Right.
The intentions are to get people into the cycle. Look, that's part of our civic duty to our community. So if you have an idea and you want someone, please have it submitted to the clerk, and then we'll put them up here and we'll debate through getting a good group up there.
Okay.
The more the merrier.
Thank you.
Anything else? Is there a motion to adjourn? Is there a second? All in favor? Good night, everyone.